Quick question for you too.
Yeah.
A wife says, I wouldn't let my husband beat my daughter. And a husband says, I wouldn't let my wife beat my son.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a ground for divorce?
Why would you think that they would have such a discussion?
Majorly because one of them, either the husband or the wife, thinks that either of them would touch the child inappropriately.
So we are agreeing that this has to do with the opposite sex. That is, in the husband talking about a daughter, the wife talking about a son. Now,
No,
why
the husband talking about the son and the wife talking about the
the
daughter.
daughter? Yeah. Okay. So
Yes,
the
yes, yes,
question.
yes.
Okay. Yes. Now the question is, why would you? Why would that be the first thought? Because the thing is, looking at touching inappropriately is quite a place to come from. Could it be because of social conditioning? Could it be because of past trauma? Do you understand? Could it be because of even he or she, what they have experienced, maybe the way they grew up in a multi-family background where there was a lot of relatives and things like that? Could it be that? Because I'm just moving to that level is such a big leap for me. That's why.
Okay, before I share my thoughts on this, I'll read a tweet that caught my attention recently on this issue.
Okay.
This morning, something happened in my house.
Wow.
I'll try to read through this fast. This morning, something happened in my house that really surprised me. I wanted to bathe my little daughter because my wife was busy in the kitchen cooking. Just normal father duties, nothing serious. I carried my daughter and went to the bathroom. Suddenly, my wife rushed out of the kitchen like there was an emergency. The way she ran, you would think someone shouted that. You would think someone shouted that a bomb was about to drop. She looked at me with very serious eyes and said I should stop immediately. According to her, I have no right to bathe our female child. And she had warned me about it before. I have no right to bathe our female child, and she had warned me about it before. She even said this would be the last warning, and I wouldn't like what would happen if I tried it again. Honestly, I just stood there confused, looking like a complete fool, because I have never heard of any law in Nigeria that says a father cannot bathe his own daughter. Now I'm really wondering, is there actually any rule or cultural belief that says a father shouldn't bathe his daughter? Or is this just something some families believe in? Now I'm really wondering, this is me just repeating it. Is there actually any rule or culture? I'm just going over it again. Because in my mind, taking care of your child, boy or girl, is part of being a parent. And this is one tweet. There was another tweet from someone, clearly a woman, where she also stated that she wouldn't let her husband
Mhm.
beat their daughter. When I saw this tweet, in my head, I'm not sure what age these people are,
Yeah.
but in my head, I thought it was a Gen Z thing. Now, I remember in 2018,
Yeah.
a presenter on live TV
I
actually
remember
said
that.
she wouldn't let, I think she
I
said,
remember.
I can't remember how she put it, but
It was on a daytime show.
this is not me quoting her verbatim,
Yeah.
but she said that she wouldn't let her husband beat her daughter. There was a lot of backlash. People dragged her. I remember in
I
2018,
remember there was a lot
people,
of backlash. She even, I think the husband had to just,
the husband had to actually release a statement
and
supporting the
things like
wife.
that.
She went on live TV, cried, saying different things. Now, looking at all of these, to answer your question, the reason why these statements are being made would be because they believe or they think, and let me not use the word believe,
They
they
think it's a
think
better word.
for whatever reason
Yeah.
that these husbands or these men would touch their daughters inappropriately. And I remember in 2018, some of the questions that were posed on her page or on the page of whoever posted that video was, if your husband cannot beat your daughter, in the same vein, you shouldn't also beat your son.
Mm.
So what are your thoughts based on all this I've said?
My thoughts on starting with the tweet. Let's start with the tweet. Obviously, there has been a discussion on that tweet, and the man has not
I don't
taken it.
know. We don't know.
No, no,
I don't know if
exactly.
there
No,
has
no,
been
no.
a
That's why I said based
discussion.
on the tweet,
Now, clearly, there
because
hasn't
he
been a
said
discussion.
no. Hold on. He said that was the final warning. He said it on the tweet.
Yes.
Now, so that means that probably maybe she said it casually, and he's taken it as maybe depending on how they communicate in their marriage. That's a different thing. But what I want to emphasize is this issue of inappropriate touching, maybe because of personal trauma, maybe because of cultural beliefs, it may be because of so many other things. Now, what I just don't want us to do is to jump into the area where we say, oh, it's a ground for divorce. I'm looking at it as this is something communication can solve. Before you go into that level, why are you taking such an action? Is it like you believe, or like we are implying by all these things that they will touch inappropriately? What is giving you that vibe?
I can't answer for them,
Yeah.
right? But my thought on this, if the reason why you say you wouldn't let your husband base your daughter,
Mhm.
and for the husband saying I wouldn't let my wife base my son or our son, is because you believe or you think
Mhm.
that for whatever reason they would touch the child inappropriately. For me, it's a ground for divorce, 100%. Because I'll tell you why it's a ground for divorce. Because it clearly shows that you are married to your enemy. That's how I see it.
No.
No, let me finish. That's
No,
how I see
no,
it.
of course.
That's how I see it. You're
Yeah.
clearly married to your enemy. Because we're talking about your child. No, let me finish. Also, let me finish.
I just
Let me
okay,
finish.
okay.
Let me
All right, let me
finish.
allow you to.
Let me finish. Because we're talking about our child, not your child.
Yeah.
I'm not the stepfather.
Father,
You are
great.
not the stepmother,
Thank you.
right? My child. But because you believe or think that I will touch the child inappropriately,
Yeah.
except I've done it in the past. And clearly, if you are with a man or a woman that has touched your child inappropriately, you should let me finish. You shouldn't even be in that marriage anymore.
Thank you.
That's number one. Now, secondly, if I haven't shown any sign of being that kind of person, but you think for whatever reason, like I keep saying, I would touch our child inappropriately, it's a ground for divorce. You are my enemy. I am your enemy. That's what it is. Because you are at work, for instance, the woman, now if it's a woman that says it, she's at work. Because touching inappropriately is not just when you are bathing the child.
See,
My wife will be at work, or your wife will be at work, for instance. She's at work. She's thinking, oh, my husband is at home with my daughter. What would he be doing?
no, you are
Let
going.
me
Yeah,
finish. No, let me
Namdi,
finish.
you are going far, and I want us to not
Okay.
let's not trail off. See, when you say you're married to your enemy, where I am more interested in what is the basis for that line in the sand. And the reason why I'm saying that is if, God forbid, the wife had been a victim of sexual abuse, you would definitely, as a husband, need to understand what happened and react according to that line. She may not be able to share, she may still have that trauma, she may not have healed completely, and nobody completely does. So, what I'm saying is that don't really say, what I would want us to focus on is what is the reason why that line in the sand. Going back to the tweet, she said that's the final warning. Now, how do they resolve it at that point? Does it mean that because you can either walk away and say, "Oh, okay, well, man, if you don't want me, whatever it is you see, you get at whatever time. If I want my child to be to have a bath 5 times a day, you are going to do it. I don't care. You understand? When he wakes up in the morning, come back from school, come before night sleep, and no matter how tired you are, you have offered yourself to do that because of maybe what. So I am more interested in what is the basis for you thinking that way. And I don't want us to look at the action in only the action itself. What may have caused he or she to draw that line in the sand?
If looking at from what you said, personal trauma, let's not even assume personal trauma, right? If based on personal trauma, we don't know who would have touched the wife or the husband inappropriately when
Mhm.
they were younger. These conversations are conversations that should be had between the husband and the wife. It's not something you put on social media. And looking at it, going back to the tweets, the guy didn't tell us. He's asking people on social media the reason why his wife is saying he shouldn't bathe. That's why it's even. That's why it's, for me. That's why. That's first of all. That's why even, for me. That's why it was even. And it goes back to my point. You are clearly married to your enemy if it's about touching inappropriately. Why? Now,
Hold
question.
on.
Let me finish.
Okay. All right.
Question is, the question is, why you're in the house with the wife? She took the baby from you.
Yeah.
Why didn't you ask her why? Why are you writing on social media to ask people on social media? What you should be telling us is, my wife said I cannot bathe my daughter because of XYZ reason, not asking us why your wife is doing it.
I agree with you. It's just
So
like
it's one of two things. It's either the person, it never happened and just catching cruise.
I was
That's
about
one.
to say
It's
that.
just catching cruise.
I was about to say
That's
that.
one. But these things,
Or two, he just wants to get a lot of people to
engagement.
follow engagements. No,
Now that's fine. But this tweet is not just a standalone tweet. There are people that think this way. We just talked about the TV presenter from
it is a
2018.
pattern. I have also even seen one that said a woman tweeted and said herself that I would never allow my husband. So it's not. This is what I'm saying. The point is
So
that
why do you
you
think?
go to social media is a different ballgame.
Okay, so why do you think? Why do you think people have these thoughts? They have different reasons.
They could be
But
cultural.
I can assure you that there's an underlining one that everyone believes in.
You see, because and rightly so, a case of domestic abuse has been, so to speak, been covered up for so long, so that now because we need to talk about it, to eradicate it, to get to a point where it no longer exists. A lot of things are now seen as boundaries that must be kept. So people may have kept that as their own boundary. That's one. Two, also, it may be that social conditioning. I don't want to make my husband be seen in a certain way outside. Do you understand? I don't want my wife to be seen in a certain way outside. That could be social conditioning. It could also be, which is where I am looking at it more, because these things that happen on social media, like you said, one, it may not have happened. Two is also that we're looking at a different perspective in the case that now people without boundaries take their things to social media, which is absolutely what we do not recommend. We would I would personally recommend that you have a communication, you sit down. If there is need for counseling, you go to counseling before you draw a line in the sand. Because let's look at the tweet.
Okay,
That lady has actually drawn a line in the sand.
let me ask you. Maybe I should just rephrase the question. You've not rephrase per se. You've done all of this. You've gone for counseling. You've had conversation. The man or the woman,
Mm-hmm.
there's no personal trauma.
Yeah.
There's no social construct.
Okay.
There's nothing. The thinking or the belief around it is, I think that you, as the husband or the wife, touch our child inappropriately.
Without any grounds, without nothing. Well, at that point, I don't know what to say anymore, because the point is, if I say, because there must be some thought process behind what you are doing. There must be some foundational knowledge. That means
Clearly,
yeah. Clearly, that means
maybe you've heard stories. Clearly, maybe you've heard stories that you have a friend whose husband touched the child
Do you know that we are
or the because it goes both ways.
This
It's not just the man
yeah.
touching the girl.
Unfortunately, and I'm saying this because maybe I am, because we are in a more male dominated area. If a man has a female child, are we now saying that that man should not partake in changing diapers and things like that? Because that's where it
Clearly,
starts from.
that's what this is about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this tweet is about, and that's what this conversation is about. That's what I'm saying. That for me, your thoughts are different and they're very valid.
Yeah.
People clearly will have different thoughts. Not everyone will agree with me. Clearly, not everyone. You haven't said yes or no, but
No,
clearly, you're not saying yes, and you're not
no,
saying
I'm not
no.
saying
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not saying
no.
yes because I don't
But
think it's a ground for divorce. Unless there is, if there is previous experience where you have a previous activity. No, but it's not. I don't think that
for
without
me, it is.
anything,
It clearly is.
you just draw a line in the sand and say,
Now it
"Oh, if you
is.
do this, no,
It
I don't
is.
agree. I don't agree."
Because of course, divorce is not it's not something you do in a month or in a week. It takes a while.
It's a process. You can't just
It
wake up.
takes a while. But for me, if as a man, your wife says, you can't beat my daughter. And if as a woman, your husband says, you can't beat my son because I think for different reasons, you would touch the child inappropriately.
I think, well,
It's a ground for divorce, 100%.
if there was more
In my books, it
communication,
is.
if there was more communication, I don't think that we would need to draw a line in the sand on this. And I don't also think that it would be a ground for divorce because I believe that with counseling, formal communications, and more openness, open and honest conversations, this can be resolved.
Okay. Thank you.
You don't seem convinced at all. Thank you.